Good morning. This is Jimmy Bashar from the Customer Experience Group. Hope everyone's doing all right today. Thanks for joining our call to discuss the FERC Order 881 initiative over managing transmission line ratings, phase 2. As you all may know, we appreciate your engagement today. So we sort of set up this call as the invitation indicates, targeting each entity's operations and ratings audience. So we really appreciate you making sure that those folks are engaged in this call, and we really want to make sure to get an update from you all to see how things are progressing, as well as to provide an update on our implementation tracks, as well as to give a little sneak peek into our 4-season implementation, policy consideration, and a few other topics that include, transmission line rating methodology updates, and the status of our AAR calculation implementation, and of course, to field questions. We're here with Isabella and Raja, who have been leading this initiative, as you all may know. And with that, I just want to make sure if anyone else is dialing in from the phone that you push #2 to ask a question. Otherwise, Raja and myself will look out for any questions or any hands in the queue. And with that, I'll hand it over to Raja.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy. Hey, good morning, folks. This is Raja Tapitobula. So I know most of you guys, as Jimmy mentioned, do attend those calls that we have that we held with all the TOPs. But just wanted to reach out, just PTOs, and see where they are, where you guys are with respect to the 881 implementation, and that is why we wanted to have this meeting. But if you have any questions as part of this, right, anything that you guys want to bring up, right, please go ahead and bring those questions. So I want to make sure that this is more of an interactive session than slides. I mean, I only have 2 slides just for discussion items. So we can start. I mean, again, this first slide is the scan slide that we have been sharing with the TOPs across different forums. I'm not sure if there's any newer folks in this call. I want to make sure that this, again, we split our RC West CAISO's 881 implementation into 3 different tracks. This is track 1, track 2, and track 3. The track 1 is where we are right now. This is for the real-time reliability application. So ultimately, what we're trying to achieve with this is use the ambient register ratings that any PTOs that TOPs have and utilize those ratings in our real-time reliability application. So just EMS, EMNA, or HANA applications that some of you know, right? So those are the real-time reliability applications, and we want to use those. Again, this is not a requirement. If the PTOs do not have those ARs available yet today, there's nothing for them to do. Again, for PTOs that already have this ratings, we definitely want to work with you folks and try to get those once we have our tools available. So that's the track 1. And track 2, this is where I'm sure each of you are waiting to see what the formats and what other things that we finalize, so you can start working on your side on the look-ahead rating, sending those look-ahead ratings to the CAISO and right. So this one we are working with OETI, the WebLineR product. I mean, again, the WebLineR is the OETS tool for this implementation, but we're going to make a lot of changes to that, right? So that it can work for us, right? So we're still in the final stages of contract, small things here and there. Once that is done, we plan to finalize the formats with them and then share the formats with you guys so you can start working on your side on your implementation. When we are ready to test, right, you can then start sending those data to us and we can test it. Again, this is only receiving portion. The track 3 is the major work for CAISO RC West, in the sense there's a lot of applications. I know that I shared in different forums, right, with you folks. Some of you attended those calls. Pretty much every tool that CAISO has from a markets point of view, real-time market, day-ahead markets, even the CRR market. On top of that, all the reliability applications, the look-ahead reliability applications, as well as our outage study process, where we use the short-term outage study window, where it's a 7-day out, right? Technically, that will be impacted by this process as well. On top of that, even the any of the ratings, especially in COI, we do have a transfer analysis that we perform and determine the operating limit on the coil. So technically, right, all those studies need to be done with this real-time ratings, right? We have to think about how do we perform those studies daily? How do we perform those studies seasonally? Now, we'd only do 2 seasons. Obviously, when the 881 goes, it's going to be 4 seasons. So how do we implement tools to perform those studies every 4 seasons, right? So those are things that we are working on. So for some of those things, as we have been sharing with different forums, we have identified some issues, resource constraints, vendor, internal, because KISA is working on different things, EDAM, right? EDAM work and a couple of other major projects that KISA is working on. So we see some constraints. So with that, what we're trying to look into is what applications can we fully achieve by 2025 and what applications we cannot be compliant. And once we identify that, sometime by summer, hopefully, we'll then go to FERC and ask for an extension for those applications that we are not able to be compliant, right? So we still try to identify which applications that we're going to be compliant. So ultimately, that is where it's really key that any PTO that can provide the ratings to us do work on your process. So because we are not going to delay those components, we're going to make sure that we have that track to the look-ahead tool available to us with OATI. Once that is done, we can receive the ratings. And obviously, then in the track 3, we're going to determine how we're going to use those ratings in which tool. And if those applications are not able to be compliant, then we'll go for extension, right? So again, we don't have a guarantee that whether if FERC is going to approve or not, but at least that's how we're planning to work on our process. Any questions at this point before we go to the next slide, where we opportunity for us to have more detailed discussion?
Thanks, Raja. As you mentioned, folks, we haven't really heard too much, so any feedback would be much appreciated.
Raise your hands, or you can unmute. I know, as Jimmy mentioned, you can unmute your call or raise your hands. Okay, I think, yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. There are no questions in the chat either.
Yeah, I think I see your hands raised. Vanit, even producer, can you unmute her line?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I do see. Thanks, Raja.
Yeah.
Hello? Can you?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Oh,
yes,
okay,
Vanit, we can hear you. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for this. I know last time I did ask about the webliner that you're implementing with OATI, but now my question is, are you expecting us to use the same format to send you the data, or are there any other options for us to provide you the data?
So, Vanit, I think we are not planning to have different tools to receive from different TOPs or PTOs, right? We plan to get this ratings, all the look-ahead ratings from everybody, both PTOs and TOPs, in the same format with this webliner. So does that help you answer your question, Vanit? I mean, this is going to be our point of, what is the right way to say, the truth, right? All the ratings because at the end of the day, these ratings need to go into a lot of different applications, right? That is where the complexity comes in, right? As you are aware of it, pretty much everything I mentioned earlier in the call, right? So we wanted to make sure that we have one tool that can process all these look-ahead ratings from all these different entities. So if you start going in different tools, different formats, it's going to complicate this implementation, right? There's going to be like what if the tool fails? What if this look-ahead ratings tools fail, right? We need to fall back to signal ratings. So we want to make sure that all those things are being implemented, right? So that's why we're saying that it's going to be one tool that we're going to receive this look-ahead ratings.
Okay, thank you so much. That's all I needed to hear.
Sure. But that being said, I think that is where I wanted to have this call today is there's one small item today, right? Each of the PTOs, there's different versions in the sense PTOs interact with the TR tool to send those seasonal ratings, right? The seasonal ratings today, it's only 2 seasons, and PTOs use TR tool to do that. And the reason being that TR is in the transmission agreement as well, right? The need for use of TR and the need for our CAISO team to perform manual checks on each of the incoming ratings, at least on seasonal ratings, and that's where the TR serves the purpose under the agreement, right? So, and for the seasonal ratings, that will still continue, right? When we move from 2 seasons to 4 seasons, maybe we can move on to the next slide where I have some of the discussion items. Yeah, so especially the TR webliner, right? So this is where I want to make sure that each of you understand when we move from 2 seasons to 4 seasons, right, with the 881, the seasonal ratings will still continue be received through TR because there's an agreement that requires us to perform manual checks, right? All the components, the transmission rating, and all the underlying components, and make sure we're using the most limiting rating, right? That the PTOs are providing, and we don't do that for any of the TOPs because all the TOPs across the RC West, they still send those seasonal ratings to a different processes, right? Either to model updates today, and when we go live with the 881, they're going to send those seasonal ratings through WebLine-R. But for PTOs, again, because of the transmission agreements, right, it needs to be sent through TR, those 4 seasonal ratings. But other things that look-ahead ratings will be sent through WebLine-R, and this is where we started thinking on our side, can we eventually move TR into WebLine-R in the sense the functionality that TR has, at least for the seasonal ratings checks, right? Can we automate those components and can we move those into WebLine-R eventually? That's not being targeted by June 2025, but we have that idea and we wanted to chat with the PTOs today and see before we go in the direction, what are the things that we need to look into, make sure that if there's any concerns on your side, we address them before we consider that potential move, because it's a big change, right, from a PTO's point of view. I'll stop there. I want to make sure that we address that question. What is our what do we want to do? And we are going to make sure that you guys understand and participate in the discussion. Any hands raised? Maybe everybody understands what we're trying to do with this. Yeah, I see Lorenzo. Go ahead, Lorenzo.
Like, shoot, I can't mute myself. Thank you, Roger, for the question. Just clarifying question. So my understanding based on what you presented, the TR will still have all 4 seasonal ratings, which PG definitely concurs with. We're making improvements on our system as well to allow for that to happen. But to your point, in the future, the potential TR move into WebLiner is the thought that both systems would be in sync automatically, to your point, versus someone manually changing it, or is the thinking that the TR would no longer have that information, which I don't think is what you said, but I just wanted to clarify.
No, I think Lorenzo, you got the point. Thanks for framing that question in a different way, right? Yeah, the data will be moved from TR into WebLiner, but ultimately, can we move even the checks that TR that CAISO performs today, some of the manual checks, right? Can we automate those checks into WebLiner and eventually duplicate the functionality of seasonal ratings in the TR? TR might still be needed for some other purposes, but at least the ratings can we eventually move the seasonal ratings for the PTOs into WebLine R, right? Again, the agreements need to be changed, a lot of different things, but before we go there, ultimately our thought process was there should be one rating tool that interacts with the PTOs on all the different fronts, right? Both seasonal, ARs, any of the component checks, right? So those are things that we're looking into. At least, again, this is an idea on our side. What do you guys think of that? Is there any concerns that we need to address before we even start thinking, or just throw the question out there, and then we wanted to see what your feedback for that idea.
Thank you for the clarification. No concerns at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Lorenzo. Yeah, I mean, again, I think for us, right, ultimately, some work on PTOs, but we see, at least conceptually, we are thinking if we move all the functionality of KISO PTO checks into WebLine R, it will automate and it will also streamline, and it should help reduce the work on your part, because right now you'll be dealing with two different tools. Seasonal ratings will be dealing with the TRs and ARs into WebLine R. Any concerns? Just wanted to see if there's any other thoughts or the discussion items on that component, on that part. I mean, if you guys think that it adds more work, and you let us know as well, because again, this is really early discussion. At least we see it's going to reduce work eventually if we do that. But if you see otherwise, do let us know. Okay, Stephen, go ahead.
I just had a question. I posted in the chat, but I guess I'll just ask it here live as well. I know for outage coordination, and when we submit various outages, a TRID is required. It's one of the things we have to submit with that request. With the move of the TR transmission registry into WebLiner, is that going to impact the current process that's in place today?
Yeah, Stephen, really good point. For the outages, right, we still see outage-related rating changes will still be submitted through WebOMS, right? If the format, or as you said, the TRID, I know we might need to create a new ID and we had to tag to that, but we don't see a change to outage-related ratings coming through WebOMS. It might be like a tag, as you said, the tag might change, but we're not there yet, right? We haven't gone into tool discussion, right? Who's going to build, right? We haven't gone into the direction yet. But I definitely, we still want to keep the outage-related rating changes through WebOMS, because and the reason being is there was some concern if you move that into WebLine R, you might lose awareness of what is causing that derate. Is a methodology change, or is it just an outage, a temporary outage change, right? So that's what we thought. Let's still keep in the OMS that component. But really good question. Thank you for asking that. And the good thing is, right, WebOMS, WebLine R will copy all the data in the WebOMS, all the network IDs and everything that's right. So yeah, all the data will be copied. So it won't be any additional work for PTOs or TOPs to send those ARs into WebLine R. Okay, if there's no further questions, I think we can move on to the top 3 points, right? This is where we wanted to see where you guys are with respect to your implementation, right? Is what different technologies that each PTOs are looking into are. I know we have talked with some PTOs. You are implementing on your shop, right, from the calculation tools, whatnot. But what about each PTO? We just wanted to hear from you folks where you are, and is there any help that you guys need from our point of view to provide more resources or in more discussion items? So we'll stop there and see if there's any hands raised from PTOs that want to talk about your implementation. Maybe this is an opportunity.
Thanks, Roger. Any updates, maybe not related to things on this list, just generally too?
Yeah, good, Steve.
Yeah, so I'll go first here. Yeah, so in terms of where we are with the AER calculation implementation, so we do have a calculation that is currently calculating the line ratings. We've been working on kind of some of the back end information of taking our ratings database, if that's what we want to call it, a smart spreadsheet, and building that into an actual database that is being used by our calculation engine. So there's still a lot of work going on behind the scenes there in order to make sure that all the data is flowing properly into the calculation engine that we have here. We're also currently looking at aligning our data with the template was provided by CAISO with, I believe, their SIM model names. So I know we call things different names internally than CAISO has in their model on that Excel template. So we're still working through that. But so far, everything's looking good. It looks like we're going to meet all the milestones for this project.
Thank you, Stephen. So yeah, you're right. The SIM model, that's the utilization of real-time ratings in our real-time reliability process, right? So yeah, that will be accomplished through that track one. So when you said Excel template, yep, that is the format, the mappings, that SCADA mappings that needs to be done between your processes and CAISO processes. And then once that is established, then right, once we have our tools ready, we'll move those templates into our production, then we can start receiving ratings on those components from you. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah.
Thanks for the update.
I did actually have one other question for you. And this might apply to all, but I'm just curious. One of the things we're looking at potentially calling or asking for an exception for is RAS and RAS schemes. I wasn't sure what CAISO's stance is on RAS schemes and implementation of RAS and all the lines affected by each RAS for FERC Order 881. Is that something you've thought about? Is that something that we could ask for an exception on?
Stephen, I think we can maybe offline discuss, right, that question. RAS, I know when FERC originally came up with this idea, there were some entities that requested exempt RASs, but FERC didn't do anything with respect to the RASs. That being said, right, if there's any valid need why you're putting there as an exception for RAS, right? We can definitely consider that, because at the end of the day, if there's any issue or if there's a stability issue that doesn't warrant, right, that doesn't warrant our operating issue that does not warrant AR, right? There's an exception that we can build that FERC definitely give that some leeway. But if this RAS implementation, why you're considering there's an exception, if you have valid reason, we can look into that. But we can definitely talk more about that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
But not in general, right? We haven't again, it's not a CAISO obligation to put an exception. We have discussed, right, in some of the meetings, right, what what it could look like, but it's going to be like PTO's responsibility to determine that and put that in rating methodology, right? Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation. Yeah, we'll probably set up something on the side to maybe discuss that further, just to get some more clarification.
Sure. Yeah, I think we have good. Next, Murray, yeah. And after that, we can have Raji.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Maria. Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. This is Marielle from representing PG&E. I'm in the asset management organization at PG&E. I can't really tell who else is on. I know Vineet is on from PG&E, but from our perspective, you know, I know we're working on developing the engine for calculating the AAR, and it lives between the TR and the EMS, and so that's kind of the feed of information. From the standards perspective, we've already determined, you know, what components is going to use, you know, calculate the AAR. We've developed the standards around it in terms of the ratings. We are still working through the exception process as well. We're interested in participating in the discussion associated with RAS. We also have like the 30-minute rating and those type of considerations. And then additionally, you know, from an asset health perspective, we are also considering some areas for exceptions.
Thank you, Maria. So I'm assuming you guys are developing the tool on your side. You're going to calculate, and just like San Diego mentioned, you're going to calculate on your side, not a vendor-based tool, right? Is that what I'm hearing, or?
Yes, it's the calculation in terms of, you know, compositing all the different components and figuring out the limiting path that's developed in-house, but the weather information, the temperature information, is kind of built into the EMS. Vineet, and please chime in. I'm probably not the best person to speak to the tool development perspective, or either Vineet or Lorenzo.
Yep. Vineet, go ahead. Yeah. No, after that, Lorenzo can. Yeah. Go ahead, Vineet.
Not getting any audio.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to unmute myself, but I couldn't. For some reason, it said you can't unmute yourself. So, yeah, in response to what Maria stated, we are working on trying to get weather data into EMS, and we're going to have the lookup table inside EMS, and we'll get the real-time ratings every hour, and we'll be sending that real-time ratings to California ISO through ICCP. And that implementation, we have still not started yet, but we do plan to get that implemented in time for the FERC 881.
Thank you, Vineet. So how about the look-ahead ratings? Are you going to do the same thing and provide to the webinar once we have the format, or at least what you're envisioning? How are you envisioning the look-ahead ratings component?
Yes, that is exactly what we are thinking about, and that's the reason why I asked you about the webliner question, to see if there were any other options on the table. We haven't yet spoken to our vendors on this, you know, because webliner is an OATI product, so we're not sure how the GE tool would interact with this webliner. And OATI product will be a brand new product for us, so we're not really sure of that implementation on the look ahead, regarding the look ahead. Real time, we are good because we're sending it through ICCP.
Sure. Vineet, I think we, at least from, again, I think as I mentioned, we envisioning, I know we shared, right, both at the end of the day, you can connect, right, and send those ratings if an hourly, just like, I mean, it's a different data format. So we'll definitely finalize the format and make it available to you guys so you can start thinking, right? Yeah. Again, I think you can do you can connect it and automatically send those ratings. You don't need to manually log in, whatnot, right? Yeah, they're going to be user for smaller entities. If you're planning to send manually once every day or something like that, right? You can still do that through user interface, but you can do an automation way too. So we can talk more offline when if there's any concern. Once we finish the contract and we finalize the format, we'll definitely have a chat with our IT folks so you can, at least your question gets answered, how you can do whatnot, right? So,
yeah, that would be
we'll
great.
Try to help you guys.
Yeah,
Good,
because
good.
getting into a new product would take a bit of time.
Sure. Yeah, we'll take a note, Jimmy. I think let's take a note once we have WebLiner signed up and format signed up. We'll definitely work with PG&E on that side. How we at least involve our IT folks so we can set up a call, a discussion items on that.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Yep. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Great questions. And thanks for the updates.
Are there any other folks that want to chime in? Because we would like to hear from, SE as well.
Well, as Raja mentioned, we have some follow-ups offline. And thanks again for everyone's participation, feedback here. Maybe give folks another minute or two. We're really efficient for feedback as we're getting obviously close to actually implementing this stuff. So this is very crucial for us. So again, thanks. And I don't see anything in the chat. Maybe another minute. We'll wait before it looks like we can end a little bit early.
Sure. Thank you, Jim. Hey, one additional request, right? I would like to hear from your response. I mean, if you want to respond an email too, right? Any things that we need to consider before moving that TR into WebLiner? Anything that today, I know each of you guys have your tools interacting with the TR today. Anything that we need to consider into WebLiner, right? Anything that would help you as well. So if you have something like that, please do let us know. So when we are considering we have a separate project. We haven't started working on that, but once we start working on that, we can include your feedback into those discussions as well, moving the TR into WebLiner. Because only PTOs are impacted with that, and that's why we wanted to hear from you folks as well, so that we can make it your life better. If there's nothing else, right? We'll continue to reach out to you folks, right? Through these calls. I know Jimmy and me will see what is the recurrence of these meetings. But we want to have open communication lines with you folks so we can help your processes, anything that you need help with this 881 implementation. I think that's it from today's discussion items. Jimmy, do you have anything else? We can end the call.
Thanks, Raja. Yeah, appreciate you clarifying the CAISO updates again and for your time. And all right, well, it looks like we can end the call. As Raja mentioned, please feel free to contact me or ISO Stakeholder Affairs, Isabella, for any follow-ups. As Raja mentioned, otherwise we'll collate what we've got. And thanks again for the feedback, folks. Have a great rest of your day.